News Alert, and just moments ago, HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius responding to calls for her resignation. Her answer may want her to have a do-over. She says she doesn't work for you.
Who have you fired?
No one has been fired. My goal is to actually get the website up and running.
Madam Secretary,
Have you offered
what
your
is your
resignation
response to people who are calling for you to resign?
Well, the majority of people calling for me to resign, I would say, are people who I don't work for and who do not want this program to work in the first place. I have had frequent conversations with the president, and I've committed to him that my role is to get the program up and running, and we will do just that.
And today on Capitol Hill, finger pointing and more finger pointing and more.
Today, the Energy and Commerce Committee continues our ongoing oversight of the healthcare law.
Unaffordable premiums, massive glitches, dead ends, error messages, system breakdowns.
The Affordable Care Act is an enormous success, with one obvious exception. It has a poorly designed website.
Are they simply incompetent, or are they just lying to the American people?
Did you deliver the product that you were contracted to build, Ms. Campbell?
We have.
Mr. Slavin?
For the
Did you deliver the project? Did you deliver
Yes.
the product that you were contracted?
Yes.
Ms. Spellis?
Yes.
Mr. Lau?
Yes.
You know, there's a saying in computer programming, garbage in, garbage out. If you're given a bad product to build, then ultimately what you'll deliver is a bad product.
This is not about blame, it's about accountability, transparency, and fairness for the American public. The broken promises are many.
Either these officials were shockingly unaware of what was happening inside their own agencies or deliberately misleading our committee and the public.
So you didn't test it prior to October 1?
No. No, sir.
$500 million later, we find the American public have been dumped with the ultimate cash for clunkers. Except they had to pay the cash and still got the clunkers. And Ms. Slavitt, did you personally try and get onto the system?
Yes, I did.
And for what state?
I think I put it in Texas.
Is that where you're from?
I'm not, but I was testing the system.
What didn't work?
Well, I logged on to create an account, was able to do so. I just never received a confirmation email.
So it didn't work?
It didn't work. All of the risks that we saw and all of the concerns that we had regarding testing were all shared with CMS.
And what was their response to when you shared some of the pitfalls in terms of what was going on?
My understanding is they understood those and were working on them, but I don't know further.
Once again, here we have my Republican colleagues trying to scare everybody.
Well, the gentleman yield.
No, I will not yield to this monkey court or whatever this thing is.
This is not a monkey
Do
court.
whatever you want. I'm not yielding.
Does CGI have to rewrite 5 million lines of code to fix the problems we've seen thus far?
No, sir. I can tell you the 300 plus employees that I have back in the office would, I think they'd all walk out if I told them they had to rewrite that many lines of code.
Do you believe it's going to be necessary to scrap the entire healthcare.gov system and start from scratch?
I do not, sir.
So you think the website will be fixed in time to ensure Americans who want to get coverage for next year that it will be available to them?
I do, sir.
Let's the goal here be to fix it, not nix it.
So did lawmakers get the answers to their questions? Republican Congressman Steve Scalise was in that heated hearing today. He joins us. Nice to see you, sir.
Good to be with you, Greta.
All right, as a former programmer, because I know you're a former computer programmer, what did you think of today's testimony?
I think it was pretty startling, first of all, to know that the taxpayers spent over $500 million and you got a computer system that not only doesn't work, but that HHS, Kathleen Sebelius' agency, did not even start testing until literally just a few weeks before the rollout date of October 1st. And even beyond that, they made major redesigns of the system to make sure they gathered everybody's information rather than just letting consumers go and get prices. They made a major decision like that literally just a few weeks before the rollout of the program. So clearly this was set up for failure by the very agency, HHS, President Obama's agency, that paid those $500 million of taxpayer money to build this system.
I'm curious, in order to fix the system, do we have to pay again to fix it, or do they at least warranty their work? I mean, where's the? I mean, we've got the problem with the system, with the website, but do the taxpayers, are they on the hook again to pay to have this fixed?
Well, you know, from everything that we heard today, they are actually billing right now to fix what the president calls glitches. This isn't a glitch, Greta. This is a national embarrassment, this system.
You know what the problem is, though? This is what is really bad. Is that, you know, it's bad enough this costs a fortune, whether you're for it or against it. But the fact that we end up, the taxpayers, having to pay twice because someone was stupid enough not to test the system before it went, before it was put online, or that for whatever reason they didn't work together. I know that each individual person, I watched the hearing, each person who testified said his part of it worked pretty well or worked completely, but it was the sum total. I mean, at what point do the taxpayers have to stop bleeding money for these bad decisions?
Well, we shouldn't be throwing good money after bad. And, you know, of course, Greta, when you look at this, ultimately the buck stops with the Obama administration because HHS was the agency that was tasked with making all of those individual pieces work that were plugged together and ultimately didn't work. And it was a lot of it is because of the decisions they made in the Obama administration to change the system, to make people have to give all this personal information, a lot of which has nothing to do with shopping for health care, before somebody can even go, as the president said. I mean, the president promised it would be like Amazon, going to Amazon and buying a TV. I went to Amazon during the hearing, and literally within a minute, I had over 300,000 options to look at TVs, and I didn't have to give any personal information like this website makes you give.
Well, my suspicion is a lot of Americans are pretty disgusted that, they can understand computer glitches. What they can't understand is that they have to keep paying over and over and over again because people make very bad decisions on, you know, whether to test things or not. But Congressman, thank you very much for joining us.
Great being with you, Greta.
Griff Jenkins was at today's hearing, and well, you all know Griff Jenkins. He wants answers too. He will chase you down for those answers. Here's how he tried to get some answers from one of the website contractors.
Ms. Campbell, Griff Jenkins with Fox News. Can you just tell us whether you believe that now we should have a delay? Would you recommend to the administration that we have a delay or a pause? Excuse me. Okay, we'd like to ask Ms. Campbell a question, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. We're going to refer you to the full committee right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Ms. Campbell, did you feel that this was a monkey court, as Rep. Palone suggested? Was it a monkey court?
Thank you very much. We're not taking questions. Thank you very much.
Ms. Campbell, I think what the American people want to know is, should there be a delay? As this has happened, do you recommend there is a delay? And finally, had you been given the opportunity for a delay, would you have taken it?
Former senior advisor to President Reagan, Pat Buchanan, joins us. Well, the contractor very much keeps saying thank you very much, thank you very much. You'd think, like, you know, we have paid hundreds of millions of dollars. We get a little bit more than thank you very much from her, but I guess she testified, but whatever.
Got $500 million this cost, and it was 3.5 years they're putting it together.
That's actually, there's more, but we'll get to that later in the show, but go ahead.
During 3.5 years from 1942 to 45, the United States government built, with the help of those industrialists out there, we got hundreds of thousands of aircraft, 1,600 ships. We armed the United States, 12 million men. Russia, the British Empire, destroyed two of the greatest empires on earth. And you mean to tell me these folks, in that amount of time, and with $500 million, can't create a website? I mean, Greta, this says something not only about the legendary incompetence of this administration, but about government in and of itself, in which an awful lot of people have invested all their hopes as to the future.
You know, but it's other people's money. They don't care. I mean, even the contracts are probably no-bid contracts. We're probably on the hook to repay for this again. We're paying for it right now. Nobody's held accountable. Kathleen Sebelius, the HHS secretary, says she doesn't work for us.
All right. Well, let me talk about, this is, what did George Bush call, his old pilot said something was a 5-spiral crash. Now, the key question here, I think, is not simply this website. Is it just that? Or are these problems with 300,000 people being dumped off their health care, 150,000 there, doctors having problems, the things that are going to get rid of the individual mandate? Is this a debacle for the Obama administration? Is this whole thing a disaster? In which case, I think it's not simply the Obama administration which is going to suffer in history, but I think it's the whole idea of the party of government, that this is the instrument of change and advancement and progress, and that idea is at the heart of the liberal idea, if you will.
Well, one of the reasons why we had this whole health care, Obamacare, was because we were worried about a lot of Americans who didn't have insurance. But if you read my emails, there's another whole segment in a society that we should also be concerned about. And that's at least the emails I get. People who say, you know, I'm very sick. I like my doctor. I pay X number of dollars. I need my medicine. I need my doctor. Now I got to notice that because of Obamacare, my money's gone up.
But you know,
or my cost has gone up.
You know, that's exactly the point. You know, I'm one of those individuals who say, look, I like my doctors, I like my programs, I like the rest of it. If it's going to help some folks, fine. If it's going to cost us a little money, fine. Leave me alone. But instead, they've got this whole thing, I think, going here. And I think what you're going to get down the road, briefly, is a potential vindication of the Tea Party decision to say, we are not going to vote to impose this on the American people. We're going to vote to extend it for 1 year because this thing ought to be taken back to the shop, just like the Dreamliner if its battery doesn't work. And they voted that way, and they stood up. And all this evidence, night after night, not simply from Fox, frankly, the mainstream media, the big newspapers, you pick them up all over, one disaster after another. I think you could move into 2014 with this thing being an albatross around the neck of the President of the United States. And again, the key question is it just this website, or is it the whole program that is really a lemon?
Pat, stay with us. We'll take a quick break. Up next, President Obama said he was mad. So you would think the rollout mess of his signature program, healthcare, that the president would stick around town to crack the whip to make sure that it got fixed. So why is he planning on skipping town? That's next. And you can hash it out with us. Are you satisfied with the explanations we're getting from the Obamacare website contractors? Or did we get hoodwinked today? Tweet or post on Facebook right now using hashtag Greta. Also, there's very disturbing news tonight. Pirates attacking a ship, kidnapping the captain and the engineer. They are both Americans. A live report from Nigeria coming up.